You're not in love, but you care for me. You wanna make love, but it's gotta be casually.
My name is Kevin Brake. I'm a photographer in downtown Los Angeles, where I've been working for about 25 years. I rent out my studio. I shoot people and architecture and construction. In high school, I was a social outcast, but I found out that with the camera, the cheerleaders would pose and smile for me, and they would pay for pictures the next day. So I was getting paid to shoot pictures of pretty girls. I thought that was a great job.
Tell me more about how you progressed from film photography to digital photography and that process.
Okay, I didn't progress from film wet process to digital. I was dragged kicking and screaming because clients didn't want to pay for film when they can get digital pictures without paying for processing. So once I came across a source of several $1,000s, I upgraded the computer and then got a digital camera and then upgraded that right away. And off we went to the races.
Do you prefer digital or film? And
Digital.
why?
Because I can have a copy of every picture I shoot. When I shoot film, I give the clients the film and I'm left with nothing. Although it paid much better. Yeah, I think digital's better. You can make it look like any kind of film you want. However, especially for shooting people, some kinds of film were great. For instance, headshots, you just shoot it and the skin would look great and there wouldn't be too much detail, but enough. And there's no Photoshop required. Whereas with digital, you have to. Okay, the question is, how does my shooting style differ from film to digital working with the client? The clients much prefer digital because they can see a picture instantly. With film, they cannot. With film, I would have to be much more careful, more selective, and more precise. With digital, I can just spray like a machine gun. You can get better pictures with digital, but you will have to do a great deal of editing to find them. With film and 36 exposures, you need to set it up beforehand and get the client into the mood that works for the picture, and then decide when to shoot it. Film is much more demanding. I respect it more. Okay, I heard two different questions. How did I get clients when I first got into photography? And the second question was,
And how did that change when digital was introduced in the business?
okay, because there's about a 20-year gap. Okay, when I started shooting film, I was in high school. And I took whatever clients I could get, which is other high school students mostly. And then I worked for a wedding photographer in his darkroom for a couple of years. And then a camera store. So the second question is, how did getting clients change with digital? It didn't really change. I would just use digital as a selling point because it's a buzzword. Everybody says digital, oh, I have to have digital, whatever that means. So I say digital pictures and they come running. Okay, the question is, how has digital affected photography and interaction with the client in post-production? With film, if I made the client's prints, that was much more intense, but for a shorter period of time, because we'd have to go into a dark room with chemistry and dry and fix the prints. With digital, we shoot many, many more pictures, probably at least 500%, maybe 1,000% more pictures for about half the price of what film paid. And then the client says, show me the best picture. Well, I have no idea out of 500 pictures which one's the best one, so I find a good one, nothing wrong with it, and I say that's the best picture. Actually, there is no single best picture. There's usually a group or groups of best pictures. Okay, the question is, has the switch from film to digital changed my style? No. I can shoot in darker places with digital than I could with film. I can I have more opportunities to shoot than I did with film, but the way I shoot, I don't see a difference. I became interested in photographing the bridges over the river in downtown Los Angeles, as they were almost all designed by one person, and each bridge is different from the other, but they all match. Very interesting. You should check it out sometime, bridgesofla.com.
It's all over till I come around. I get all dressed up and you take me down. We'll get together unless something better comes along and do me wrong. I learned me a thing or two. How do we get to play the fool like I do? Like I do.
Is that Sparky?
Okay, we were talking about your studio. How did it all begin? How did you come up with a name? What made you decide to have a studio as a photographer?
As a photographer who primarily photographed people, one of the best tools you can have access to is your own studio. Some privacy, some rooms, some high ceilings to put up lights, create sets. The problem with having a studio is that if you have one large enough to work with, it's going to be too expensive to maintain. To keep the rent paid up, you need to rent the studio out to other photographers and to productions and so on. And at first I did that unwillingly. I did it because I had to make money. And after a while I found out that I understood the process since I was a photographer, am a photographer. And to make a long story short, I became proficient at being a studio manager.